Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Aman?
Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram.
Jima, I'm trying to start your
Yeah,
video.
yeah. You can do the live ना, live नहीं होगा, अभी बाद में करोगे?
Live बाद में करेंगे माँ.
अच्छा ठीक है,
बाद में उसको अपलोड कर देंगे. मैं सिर्फ देख रहा हूँ कि आपका वीडियो स्टार्ट हो जाए. ट्राई करिए माँ.
हाँ, या, I'm good. स्पॉटलाइट कर देना केवल याद से. ठीक. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं. वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरौ श्रीयुत्पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं साजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च. हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते. तप्त काञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरत्विषे नमः. So we will get to chapter 13 today. Nature, the enjoyer and consciousness. There are certain Sanskrit words here. I will try because to use those same Sanskrit words, so, even though they have given meaning in English, but many times the English meaning does not convey the right thing. So we will try to use the same word as in Sanskrit. This chapter is a little technical again. So those who are learning it technically, as you know, in Gyan Marga, they can make notes and build up their vocabulary. Certain things you should know. Till now, so many words we have learned. So your vocabulary has to be strong. For example, when I say Brahma, you should know what is Brahma. Paramatma, you should know. This is the basic. Brahma, Paramatma, Bhagwan. Basic. You have to know this. If you are a student of spiritual science, the spirituality is not just sentimentalism. People will say Bhakti Yoga means sentimental people. My dear friends, I always say them. What is sentimentalism? Those sentiments, those emotions, what you talk is also a science. If it was not a science, psychiatry would not be a subject. There are psychologists, there are doctors, they are treating you. How are they treating you? They are understanding the science of the conscious mind. They are understanding the science of the consciousness. When you go to the psychiatrist, what will he do? He'll question, he'll try to understand your history. He'll try to understand your consciousness. So if somebody his consciousness is deeply rooted and he's in love with Bhagwan, that's a science. Love itself is a science, don't they? Don't they say? We say, I love you. Scientists will say, oh, after seeing you, some oxytocin hormone or some chemical reaction happens, some dopamine comes in my head. This is how we explain love, right? One simple person will say, I love you. Another person will say, no, love means oxytocin develop, dopamine develop, and seeing somebody, you feel doped. So science. So science and sentimentalism, whatever you call, science and emotions, bhavana and gyan, whatever you feel, your feelings and science, they go together. They're always there. It is going to be there. Bhagwan gave you heart, heart feels. Bhagwan give you brains, brain thinks. Mind is in between both. Mind understands, And mind has feeling also. Like, the intelligence is always a thinker. It will give you justifications of right and wrong. But even after the brain gives you the justification, buddhi says, oh, intelligence says, oh, this is wrong, don't do it. Your mind will have some feeling attached to it. No, even though if it is wrong, I still want to do it. I want to enjoy that thrill of crossing boundaries. I want to enjoy the buddhis, and it will shut the buddhi. So mind will have the feeling also, and mind will have the intelligence also. So the intelligence will give you, oh, this is good, do it. Exercising is good for you. You must exercise. You must eat sattvic food, good for your heart, body, and soul. But the mind has some feeling of being lazy. Mind will say, yeah, I understand everything, but I want to be lazy today. I don't want to eat good. I want to be lazy. I don't want to follow any path. So mind is in between. Mind is a connection, It has feeling also. It has the logic also. And it will behave the way it wants to behave. Even after hearing the logic and the feeling, everything is there. It will behave the way it will behave. So we are slowly going to understand in this chapter all these technical things. Feelings, minds, body, who are we? We know we are soul. But then how come we are in this body, and what is the name of this body? How is everything functioning? So Arjuna is going to ask some more technical questions today. He already saw Bhagwan's big form, universal form. He saw the 400 form. He's seeing the 200 form. And Bhagwan said, this is the easiest form. And Bhagwan gave such a beautiful lecture on Bhakti Yoga yesterday. After hearing everything, Arjuna asked certain questions which he has read in the Vedas. Certain words he has read in the Vedas. Now he wants to know, okay, Bhagwan, I agree. You are standing here as my friend. I have heard Vishnu is all pervading. I understand. He is the maintainer. And I saw your cosmic form. In that cosmic form, everything is coming out from you and everything is going into you. You are the supreme destroyer. I saw that. But then there is another word, which is called Kshetra, Kshetragya, Prakrati, and Purusha. Vedas always talk about this. All the rishis and the saints always talk about this. Can you please explain me these four things? Kshetra, Kshetragya, Prakrati, Purush, and also Bhagwan. Vedas means knowledge. They talk a lot about so many things. You read the Puranas, so many topics. Purana is a part of Veda. Upanishad, so many topics. But all this reading, all this knowledge will have some gist. Can you give me the gist of knowledge? Can you tell me what really knowledge is? What really knowledge is? All that we read, to arrive at what? What is Gyan? Knowledge means Gyan. What is Gayam? What is to be known? What are we supposed to arrive at? So we are going to understand this thing. Arjunuvacha Prakratim Purusham Chaiva Kshetram Kshetragyam Evacha Etad Veditumicchami Jnanam Vigyayam Chakeshava. Shri Bhagwanuvacha Idam Shariram Kaunteya Kshetram Miti Vidiyate Etadyo Vetim Tam Prahu Kshetragya iti tadvidaha. Arjuna asked, oh my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti. The English meaning for Prakriti is nature. We have two nature. One what we see outside and our own nature. So what is this Prakriti? What is this nature? What is Purusha? Purusha means enjoyer, the one who enjoys. We are enjoying the Prakriti. We are enjoying nature. We enjoy ourselves. So who is that Purusha? Who is the enjoyer? What is Kshetra? Kshetra means field. And what is Kshetragya? Kshetragya means knower of the field. And I want to know the field, the knower of the field, and of knowledge, and the object of knowledge, purpose of knowledge. Bhagwan replied, this body, O son of Kunti, is called the field. And one who knows this body is called the knower of the field. Another word for field, this body is field. The Sanskrit word is Kshetra. The knower of this body is called the knower of the field. The Sanskrit word is Kshetragya. Whatever activities are happening with this body is Kshetragya. I am going to read the purport of this. Arjuna was inquisitive about Prakrati, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, Kshetra, the field, Kshetragya, its knower, and knowledge and the object of knowledge. When he inquired about all this, Krishna said that this body is called the field. Remember this, okay? This body is called the field. And the one who knows this body is called the knower of the field. Just remember this meanings, synonyms. The body is called the field of activity. For whom? Why is this body called field? Because this body is the field of activity for conditioned souls. The conditioned soul, where is it? It is entrapped. Where? In the material existence. And through this body, the conditioned soul tries to lord over the material nature. And so, according to his capacity to dominate material nature, he gets a field of activity. That field of activity is the body. And what is body? The body is made up of senses. 11 senses, main. The conditioned soul wants to enjoy sense gratification, and according to his capacity to enjoy sense gratification, he is offered a body. And according to his capacity, he is offered a body, a field of activity. Therefore, the body is called Kshetra, or the field of activity for the conditioned souls. Now, the person who should not identify himself with the body is called Kshetragya, the knower of the field. It is not very difficult to understand the difference between the field and its knower. The body and the knower of the body. Any person can consider that from childhood to old age. He undergoes so many changes in the body, and yet is still one person remaining. Thus, there is a difference between the knower and between the knower of the field of activities and the actual field of activities. A living conditioned soul can thus understand that he is different from the body. It is described in the beginning, Dehino Asmin, that the living entity within the body is within the body, and the body is changing from childhood to boyhood, and from boyhood to youth, and from youth to old age, And the person who owns the body knows that the body is changing. The owner is distinctly Kshetragya. Sometimes we think, I am happy. I am a man. I am a woman. I am a dog. I am a cat. These are the bodily designations of the knower. But the knower is different from the body. Although we may use many articles, our clothes, etc., we know that we are different from the things used. Similarly, we also understand by a little contemplation that we are different from the body. I or you or anyone else who owns the body is called Kshetragya, the knower of the field of activities, and the body is called Kshetra, the field of activities itself. In the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, the knower of the body, the living entity, and the position by which he can understand the Supreme Lord are described. In the middle 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the relationship between the individual soul and the super soul is in regard to devotional service are described. The superior position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the subordinate position of the individual soul are definitely defined in these chapters. The living entities are subordinate under all circumstances, but in their forgetfulness, they are suffering. When enlightened by pious activities, they approach the Supreme Lord in different capacities, as the distressed, as those in want of money, the inquisitive, and those in search of knowledge. That is also described. Now, starting with 13th chapter, how the living entity comes into contact with the material nature and how he is delivered by the Supreme Lord through the different methods of fruitive activities, cultivation of knowledge, and the discharge of devotional service are explained. Although the living entity is completely different from the material body, he somehow becomes related. This is also explained. Vishwasji is writing, body, a field of activity, analogs to the laboratory, and the owner of this laboratory is a scientist. Yes. The analyzer of the Prakrati within the body. Yes. You can, yes, it is analogous. So this body, now let's go back to who we are. Then we understand Kshetra and Kshetragya. We started Gita, where Bhagwan starts the knowledge with, you are not this body, you are the soul. Okay, I am the soul. Where am I? At present, I am in this body. So this body is doing so many things, so many actions. This body is a field of activities. I am the soul. I am entrapped in this body. I am conditioned in this body. Conditioned soul means I am entrapped. I exist. I know. I know this body is mine. I don't have control over this body though. I am entrapped. So this body, Kshetra means area. This body is mine. I own this body. I am the owner of this body. We feel like that. I know this body. I am the knower of this body. So being the knower of this body is called Kshetragya. I know what is outside, how I look, I can see. And whatever is happening, we all have 2 bodies, right? Knowingly, which we know. One is our outer body. Whatever is happening on the outer body, we know, we see it. Body made up of matter. And then we have an internal body, our mind. conscious mind, subconscious mind. So we have that also. We are that also. We are not just only this body. We are that subconscious mind too. Because that body awakens when we are sleeping. When the body is sleeping, that body awakens and shows us dreams and takes us everywhere. So we, atomic soul, we are inside. Because we are inside as atomic soul, I am the atomic soul. I am the soul. Because I am inside this body, that is why this body is working. If I am not inside this body, how will this body work? When the body dies, this body is going to die one day. And I left the body. I, the atomic soul. I, the atomic soul, left this body called Smita Venkatesh. Left. So no matter whatever you do to this body called Smita Venkatesh, nothing will happen to this body. It is dead. So this body was given to me to do some activities, to enjoy some things based on my past desires. So to enjoy those things, I did some things, through the senses. So this body is doing so many things. That is why this body is called as the field or the Kshetra. And I, the atomic soul, is living inside the body. I am known as the Kshetragya because I am the knower of this body. I only know what is happening in my mind. Nobody else knows. I know. So I am the knower of the body. So Kshetra means the field of this body. Kshetragya means the knower of the body, the atomic soul, the soul. Atomic is atmic, atmiya soul, atma. ATOM, if I change the sound of T, because there is no ta in English, right? If I have to write ta in English, how do you write? T. Smita, I write SMITA. But I say Smita, I don't say Smita. I say Smita. So if I have to write Atma like that, Atma is Atma, atom. So atomic soul. So I am the atomic soul. This body has been given to me. I am the knower of this body. So this body is called the Kshetra, and I, the knower of the body, is called Kshetragya. Simple word. As I told you, Kshetra means an area, a field. If I have to ask you which Kshetra you live in, which place you live in, you may say your country, I live in India. That is your Kshetra. Got it. But where in India? Oh, I live in Maharashtra. Oh, another Kshetra. Within the Kshetra, another Kshetra. Where in Maharashtra? Oh, I live in Mumbai. Within Kshetra, inside Kshetra. Okay, wonderful. Where in Mumbai? I live in Powai. Okay, one more Kshetra. Where in Powai? I live in Hiranandani Gardens. One more Kshetra. Where in Hiranandani Gardens? Oh, I live in Valencia building. Valencia building. Where? 14th floor, first house. So that house is your house. So whatever is happening in that house, you are the owner of that house. So from that big Kshetra, you have been given one small space to own and do all the activities to enjoy however you want to. It's your own home. Do whatever you want to. Similarly, we as the soul, we are a part of this big universe. Where in the big universe? In the 14th planetary system. Where in the 14th planetary system? On Earth. Where on Earth? India. Say India. India to Bombay. Bombay to that house. To that house. From that house in this body. So that house we were thinking we are owner. But actually, this body, that conditioned soul has come from the universe to this body. that conditioned soul is called Kshetragya, the owner, the knower of this body. So Bhagavan will go on saying, so you understood? When we call about, when Arjuna asked, what is Kshetra, what is Kshetragya? Why did he ask this question? Because these words are going to be there in other Vedic books also. And Bhagavan has used Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, he has given, in essence, everything, all the Vedas and Puranas, whatever you read, every essence has been given, and all the other things, which you cannot understand, which are non-essential, he has taken it away. And the essential part, he has given it to us. So we should now understand Kshetragya. Okay. Kshetragya is the atomic soul or the soul. I am the soul. I am the Kshetragya. And Kshetragya has different names. Kshetragya means Atma. Kshetragya means soul. Kshetragya means Jivatma. Kshetragya means living entity. So Atma, Jivatma, living entity, soul, all this is the meaning of Kshetragya. All right. So when you read books, other books, spiritual books, you should know. If they use the word Kshetragya, you should know. If they use the word Kshetra, you should know. What are the Kshetras? One is this outer body, and one is the inner body. What is the inner body made up of? Mind, intelligence, ego. So there are two Kshetras. Understand this. Outer body, inner body. These are all your Kshetra. Full Kshetra. Got it? So Kshetragya. Now you got it. Now Bhagavan is going to tell about other things. Kshetragyam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata kshetragya yo jnanam yad jnanam matam mama. O skin of Bharat, you should understand that I am also the knower of all bodies. And to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That is my opinion. So Bhagavan now says one thing. So Arjuna's question was Kshetragya and what is knowledge? Bhagavan says, one Kshetragya you know, atom, your Atma. There's another Kshetragya. That is me. I am also the Kshetragya of this body. As Paramatma. And if somebody knows this science of this Kshetragya, means the soul, the super soul, and how the soul and the super soul are in this body and how they are managing this body, what is the purpose of this field of activities. If somebody knows this, he is having the knowledge. The purpose of all knowledge is to know about your existence. Why are you here? You should know. Who are you? You should know. This is the purpose of knowledge. This is what knowledge is. When we read the Vedas, there's always a story given about two birds. One is the Jiva bird. Jiva means living entity bird. We. Another is Paramatma bird. Bhagwan, the witness bird. Sakshi bird. So in this heart, there are two birds. One is our Atma, us. And one is the Paramatma, the super soul. So these two birds are there. So the Atma bird, the living Atma bird, the living entity bird, it is only eating everything, It is enjoying. It eats different fruits. And then sometimes the fruits are bitter, sometimes the fruits are hot and spicy, sometimes the fruits are sweet, sometimes the fruits are poisonous. So this Jiva bird, this is always suffering because it is going on eating things, not knowing what to eat, what not to eat. It just eats. And the Paramatma bird is only the witness. It's only seeing. So Jiva bird one day looks at the Paramatma and says, what you are seeing all the time? I suffer so much. You never get attracted towards it. Do you know? You must be knowing that this food is not right, that food is not right. Why don't you tell me? So Paramatma says, Jivatma, oh Jiva soul, why don't you ask me? Now today you turned your back, you looked at me. Now you are asking me, I'll give you all the knowledge. Till now you were enjoying on your own. So you were suffering. Now since you have looked at me, I will give you all the knowledge so that your suffering ends. So before eating any fruits, just look at me one time. I will tell you, good or bad, and listen to me. If you disregard me, you will suffer. So these two birds, this is just a story given. These two birds are always there in our heart. So that Paramatma, the Paramatma and our Atma, we are always doing. Our Atma is like the mind and the soul. We want to do things which we think are enjoyable, but they put us into difficulty. But when you look at the Paramatma and the Paramatma says, don't do this, this is not right, this is not right. And then if you follow Paramatma means God, Paramatma's way of life, then we will not fall into difficulty anymore. That Paramatma or the super soul is the inner voice. Have you thought on the inner voice? I love that inner voice. You try to do something wrong. Nobody is watching. That inner voice. The more purer you become, the more spiritual you become, this inner voice becomes more and more stronger. And this inner voice will become so strong, it will not allow you to do things which a normal person is doing and enjoying ignorantly. For that person, ignorance is bliss. For a person who is spiritual, there is no more ignorance. It is always enlightened. You may want to do things which the other person is doing, but this inner voice will be so strong. It will stop. It will make you stop. That inner voice is the voice of Bhagwan, is the voice of Paramatma, is the voice of Super Soul. As we become more spiritual, this voice we can hear. If we disregard the voice, we will fall into trouble. How do we know we disregarded the voice? We have to keep justifying ourselves. Nobody is asking anything. Nobody is watching you what you do. But you have to justify yourself all the time. You are justifying yourself. And then you are aware. Enlightened person will know. He's not ignorant anymore. If he has done something and he has justified his mind, he knows, I did this. I will have to suffer. We'll see. Whatever the suffering is, we'll face it. So enlightened person will know. He might also do a mistake. But with his mistakes, he's aware. This has happened. There'll be some repercussion to this. But a person who is not enlightened, who is in the ignorant state, will not understand this. So this inner voice is always talking to us. So this soul, the soul and the spirit soul, the super soul, they are always together. So Bhagwan says, I am also the Kshetragya. I am that super soul. You are the soul. You know the body. But I am the super soul. I am also the knower of the body. So in this body, there are two knowers, two Kshetragyas. One is me, myself, the soul. And one, Bhagwan, Paramatma, the super soul. So how many knowers of the body? Two. It is just like I took the example of your house. So you are not the knower of your house, registered in your name. And you have been given the full freedom to live in your house the way you want to. Nobody was going to see what you are doing on a daily basis. Nobody's seeing. Full freedom to live. But your house, wherever you live, that address, you know, your people know, and the government knows, the state government knows. Even though you are the owner of the house, if there is some project that the state wants to develop, the state has full right over your property. The state will come and tell you, the government officials will come and tell you, we have to do this. We will offer you different place to stay, but this place will have to be demolished because we are building a bridge or whatever. This is a government place. So no matter how much you say, oh, I registered, I bought it. We are sorry, we are giving you another place. You have to move. This has to be used for development purposes. So apart from you being the owner, there is one owner who is the government. Similarly, in this body, you are the soul, you are the owner, you are the knower, but there is a super knower, that is Bhagwan. He decides, even though you say, I am the owner of the body, you cannot decide when you are going to die. You cannot tell. When death comes, helpless. The knower of the body, Bhagwan, knows everything. He has decided a course for you. You will have to follow that. So Bhagwan says there are two knowers of the body, two Kshetragyas. One is the soul, one is me, the super soul. Okay, so you understood this. So Kshetragya, you understood. There are two Kshetragyas, you understood. Then Bhagwan says, what is knowledge? Knowledge is to know what are the activities of this body. You understood this body is a field. What are the activities of this body? Body, when I say body, there are always two bodies, okay? All those who are knowledgeable, now your mind has to be working like that. This body and internal body, mind, intelligence, and ego. Okay. Bhagwan says, Takshetram yaccha yadrikcha yadvikari yatascha yat socha yo yat prabhavascha tat samasena me shrunu. Bhagwan says, now, please hear my brief description of this field of activity and how it is constituted, what its changes are, whence it is produced, who that knower of the field of activities is, and what his influences are. I'll repeat again. He's saying here the description of the field of activities, this body, how this is constituted. How is this made up of? What are its changes? How it is produced? And who that knower of field of activities is? What his influences are. So one should know these distinctions. The Lord is describing the field of activities and the knower of the field of activities in their constitutional positions. One has to know how this body is constituted, the materials of which this body is made, under whose control this body is working, and how the changes are taking place, where from the changes are coming, what the causes are, what the reasons are, and what is the ultimate goal of individual soul. And what is the actual form of individual soul. One should also know the distinction between individual living soul and super soul. But their different influences, their potentials, etc. One just has to understand the Bhagavad Gita directly from the description given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all this will be clarified. But one should be careful not to consider the Supreme Personality of Godhead in everybody to be one with the individual soul, the jiva. This is something like equating the potent and the important. Bhagwan says in text number 5, that knowledge of the field of activities and of the knower of activities is described by various sages in various Vedic writings. It is especially presented in Vedanta Sutra with all the reasonings as to cause and effect. So Bhagavan has mentioned Vedanta Sutra because Arjuna has asked questions which are from the Vedas. So Bhagavan is saying, I am giving you in brief whatever is there in the Vedanta Sutra. Vedanta means end of all Vedas. There was a Vedanta Sutra written separately to bring the essence of the Vedas. The Vedas, 4 Vedas plus Mahabharata, so big. So many things are given. So it was a need to write Vedanta Sutra. Vedas wrote Vedanta Sutra. In that Vedanta Sutra is like the essence, of all the Vedas. It was written. Bhagwan says, I'm going to make that also short for you. I'll make it more easier for you now. Go on. This is the beauty of Gita. In capsule, you get everything. So Bhagwan is saying, I'll make it very simple for you. There are 24 elements being spoken in the Vedas. Everything boils down to this 24 elements. This whole big body, that mind, whatever you're talking about, all boils down to this 24 elements. This whole macrocosm, microcosm, whatever we are talking about, all boils down to 24 elements. If you understand this 24 elements, you have understood everything. It's like if I have to understand different countries, how they are, what they are, where they are positioned. One way is I actually go physically to every country and see. One way is I just see it in the map. In the map, India will be shown this much. But India is so big. So that big India is like a microcosm. And this map is microcosm. So the whole universe, if you want to understand, you can map it down. You can map it down to this 24 elements. That's it. If you understand this 24 elements, this 24 element is situated in every living being, outside the living being, extending all the way to the universes. Only that great 24 elements. So Bhagwan is saying this is what all Vedanta is talking about, 24 elements. Same 24 element. This is the base, okay? This is the foundation. And this is enough to explain everything, okay? But in, you see, Shaiva Siddhantas or Sri Vidya tradition, this 24 element we are just a little bit expanded more because the Prakrati element is expanded a little more. And then it goes to 36 elements. Then in both the Siddhanta, I have also seen 108. But I'm telling you, whatever 108 it has gone up to, the basic is this 24. If somebody's foundation in this 24 is good, you have understood it all. Whether you understand the 36 or whether you understand 108, it's all just too much of drag, but basic is this. This is full. Okay, so let us see what are these 24 elements. Bhagwan says, Mahabhutani ahankaro buddhiravyaktameva cha indriyani dashaikam cha panchachendriya gocharaha ichchadvesha sukham dukkham sanghatas chetanadhritihi etak kshetram samasena savikaram mudaritam. Bhagwan says the 5 great elements. False ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, the mind, the 5 sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms, and convictions, all these are considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interaction. I'm going to repeat again. Field of activities, 5 elements. False ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, the mind, the 5 sense objects. These are the field of activities. And what are the interactions? The interactions are desire, hatred, ichchadvesh, happiness, distress, sukha dukh. The aggregate, sanghatas chetana, all in all together. Chetana, the life symptoms, and convictions. All these are considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interactions. Now, what are these? I'm going to read the purport and then we'll stop and discuss. From all the authoritative statements of the great sages, the Vedic hymns, and the aphorisms of Vedanta Sutra, the components of this world can be understood as follows. First 5 elements. What are the 5 elements? Starts from earth, fire, water, fire, air, ether. These are the 5 great elements. Mahabhutani, Panch Mahabhutani. So 5 great elements. This is the base. It will always be there. Then there is false ego. False ego means I exist. As Atma, I exist. This is true ego. But I am the body. That is false ego. I am the owner of my body. I am the owner of my family. I am the everything. We feel like we have a separate identity. That is false ego. Real identity is I am soul, I'm part of the super soul. If somebody is in that, that is not a false ego. False ego means we relate ourselves with the body. It's false ego. So there is false ego, and then there's intelligence. And the unmanifested stage of the 3 modes of nature. 3 modes of nature are Sattva Guna, Rajo Guna, Tamo Guna. These are the unmanifested stage. Then, so these are 5 plus these 3, 8, okay. Then there are 5 senses for acquiring knowledge. The eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin. Then 5 working senses: voice, legs, hands, anus, and genitals. Then above the senses, there is mind, which is within and which can be called the sense within. So 11 senses. Therefore, including the mind, there are 11 senses altogether. Then there are 5 objects of the senses: smell, taste, form, touch, and sound. Now, the aggregate of these 24 elements is called the field of activity. If one makes an analytical study of these 24 subjects, then he can very well understand the field of activity. Then there are desire, hatred, happiness, distress, which are the interactions, representations of the 5 great elements in the gross body. The living symptoms represented by consciousness. And convictions are the manifestation of the subtle body, mind, ego, and intelligence. These subtle elements are included within the field of activities. The 5 great elements are a gross representation of the false ego, which in turn represents the primal stage of false ego, called the materialistic conception or the tamas buddhi, intelligence in ignorance. This further represents the unmanifested stage of the 3 modes of material nature. The unmanifested modes of material nature are called pradhan. One who desires to know the 24 elements in detail, along with their interaction, should study the philosophy in more detail. In Bhagavad Gita, a summary only is given. The body is a representation of these factors, and there are changes of the body which are 6 in number. The body is born, the body grows, it stays, it produces byproducts, then it begins to decay, and then the last stage it vanishes. Therefore, the field is a non-permanent material thing. However, the knower, the Kshetragya, knower of the field is proprietor is different. So we will discuss it again. Too much of knowledge, too much technical. 24 elements you remember. This is the basic of Sankhya. We have discussed on this in chapter 6 also, but again, now Bhagwan is talking about 24 elements. If somebody wants to know more, they should hear Kapil Bhagwan. It is there in the channel. You go to the channel, Srimad Bhagavatam, Kapil Bhagwan lectures. In detail, it has been given. 25 elements, he made it. 24, these are the 24 elements, plus Bhagwan element, becomes 25 element. Kapil Bhagwan gave us philosophy. All Vedas, anything, when we start analyzing like a scientist, everything will come down to this 24 elements, starting from 5 great elements. 5 elements. Panch Mahabhut. Then Panch Jnanendriya means 5 organs to gain knowledge. Panch Karmendriya, 5 indris, 5 organs by which we are doing work. Panch Tanmatra, the objects of this indriyas, or object of this organs. So 5 great elements, 5 knowledge gaining organs, Jnanendriya, 5 action doing organs, Karmendriya, 5 objects of this organs, which are Tanmatra. So 20. Apart from this, mind, intelligence, ego. And there is one more thing, unmanifest. That is Prakriti's 3 gunas. So this becomes 24. So this is what it is. So the outer body is made up of 20. Okay. And then there is mind inside. There is our internal body, subtle body. So these are the 24 elements. So if I have to describe the great 24 elements, this is how we'll describe. Make this 20 plus 4. That's it. Now these 24 elements, we start with the 5 basic ones. Earth. Where is the earth element in the body? We analyze like that. So we are analyzing this like a scientist. Who am I? Am I this body? I am the conditioned soul in this body. What is this body made up of? 5 great elements. All right. Where is those elements? I am made up of earth. All right. Where is the earth element? Earth element is anything which is, solid, which is strong. You see, earth is strong, gross. Gross matter. Anything that is matter in this body is earth element. And the strongest matter, which doesn't dissolve, is bones. So bones is a direct representation of earth element. Teeth, earth element. Nails, earth element. So this is earth element in our body. Okay. What else? The fire element. Water element. We see water is outside. Whatever is in macrocosm is in microcosm, right? So we see water outside. Where is water in our body? Everywhere, flowing throughout. Like the ocean is 70%. Like ocean body makes 70% of earth, right? It is salty. Our body is 70% salty because of the blood flowing. The blood is salty. Take out anything, it will be salty. So that water representation, that water element which is outside is in this body, flowing as blood, as spit, as phlegm, when we cough, as sweat. Everything is salty. Urine. So water element. So I am made up of water element also. Fire element. Yes, it is everywhere. Fire element. When we eat food, we are digesting. Rub the hand, it's coming out. Everywhere, that fire element is there. Similarly, air element, it's everywhere. We are breathing every day. Crack your knuckle, do anything. Fire, that Vayu element, that air element is there, space element is there. So this 5 is there, we understood. Then we understand there are 5 other senses which are for acquiring the knowledge. Eyes. Eyes are acquiring knowledge. What is subject of the eyes? What is the object of the eyes? It sees. Rupa. It sees a form. Eyes see a form and looking at the form acquire the knowledge. Say if I see a bear, a polar bear. So I'm looking at the polar bear. So how is the eyes acquiring knowledge? This is polar bear. This is so strong. This is so big. It has so much hair. It looks like this. So eyes are acquiring knowledge. Similarly, ears. They hear a sound. We are walking in the jungle and suddenly we hear some sound and we are like, okay, something is coming from somewhere. So ears are acquiring knowledge. So eyes are acquiring knowledge, ears are acquiring knowledge, nose is acquiring knowledge, tongue, skin is acquiring knowledge. We touch something, we know. Soft touch, velvety touch, hot touch, cold touch. We feel that. So these are the 5 knowledge acquiring senses and then their subjects. Roop, rasa, shabda, sparsha, gandha. Roop means form, ras means taste, sparsh means touch, shabd means sound, gandha means fragrance. So all these elements by which my body is made up of, these elements have their own subjects, which are these panch tanmatras. So these are also there. So 5 elements, 5 subjects of these elements, 5 organs to acquire the knowledge. And then apart from that, we have been given hands to work. We have given legs to walk. We have been given mouth to speak and to eat. We have been given anus and genital to throw away the waste from the body. So these are 5 working organs. So this is what my body is made up. Got it. What else? There is a subtle body inside. That is my mind. That subtle body, mind is further divided into my intelligence. And that is what is making me. So my ahankar, my ego, it is also there. But from where have all this come? There is one more thing which is unmanifested, which is chetana, which is consciousness. That is me, my atma. So I understood this whole body is made up of 24 elements, and whatever exists in this body is outside also. As I told you, 5 great elements inside this body, outside also. Rupras, Shabdas, Sparsh, outside, inside, both. Everything that you see, whatever is outside is inside, whatever is inside is outside. And then the interactions of everything. When I am angry, my Agni Tattva gets flared up. And that Agni Tattva is coming out. When I'm sad, rowing, crying, my water element is flared up. Coming down. So many things. When I'm disturbed in my head, thinking too much. Uncontrollable thinking. My ether element is flared up. I'm very lazy, not doing anything. My earth element is flared up. These elements, these great elements, which are inside my body, they create so many things outside my body, from internal body and external body. And this, whatever they are creating, comes in the form of few things. Raga, dvesha, ichha, desires. Dvesh means I'm angry at somebody, right? So my Agni Tattva is activated. I'm in love with somebody. Then there could be many tattvas activated. When you're in love, kamagni, premagni, everything activated. But out of this, the Agni Tattva is very important. That's why in spiritual world we focus on Agni Tattva more. So Iksha, which is coming out because these elements are getting activated. Dvesha, Sukha, Dukkha, all these feelings that are coming out is because of this elements which are getting activated, which are coming in touch with those objects, and they are the ones which are creating it. Eyes are seeing some beautiful form, you fall in love and you've gone crazy. So it has come in touch with something external, it is activating. So we understand the whole science like this. So this is aggregate of everything. Understanding this whole science, how is everything getting activated? What is the main thing, main ingredient? When we see from all this thing, we come to the main ingredient, and the main ingredient is Chetana, your consciousness. Your consciousness is going to activate everything. The whole field of activities is because of this presence of this consciousness. So anybody who understands this science has understood the science. Now Bhagwan will tomorrow, I'll just stop it because it's getting too heavy, I understand. So now tomorrow again, I will revise this, and then we will read not tomorrow, it's Monday, Thursday when we meet. We will understand what is Bhagwan talking about, jnana, and these topics. We will again understand 24 elements, okay? And their field and everything. We will touch upon those things also. All right, so we will end it up. I'll see your comments, and then okay, this is done, this is done. Okay, lab is done. Okay, the atomic soul has a mass in terms of AMU and the energy that occupies the command of the body relative to the super soul. The charge of this atomic particle, known as ion, has charge and mass slightly heavier than electrons. This is the complex existence of the body, that is Kshetra. The command is from microcosm to macrocosm. Wonderful. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. I'm trying to understand that eon. Yes. Good way to explain. Koham katham idham jatam. Yes. Aparokshanubhuti by Adi Shankaracharya. Yes. Atma to Paramatma. The thoughts keep traveling and solutions granted by Super Soul. The Paramatma within. Yes. 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 Paramatma is the only one who is going to allow us to live in this body. If Paramatma decided, done. So done. So yes, everything we are getting, all the commands from Paramatma. He is there as a witness, guiding everything. When things go out of control, he'll wind up everything. So we have to always understand that. He is our supreme controller. All right. I'm so sorry, Ma. Due to some urgent work, I have to leave in between. No worries. We'll see you next class. All right. May all of you have a Krishnamay day and a Krishnamay night. Too heavy class today. Hopefully, I'll try to make it more simpler in the next class. Jai Ma. Jai Shri Krishna.
Thank you, Ma.
Jai
Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna. Jai Shri Krishna.